Hello, this is Leisha Breen with Journey to Greatness, 365 days to your best year yet. And today I want to talk about focusing on the positive. Ralph Waldo Emerson once said, "To different minds, the same world is a hell and a heaven." And isn't that the truth? Good and bad things happen to everybody. And it is how we choose to focus on what happens to us that ultimately determines how happy we are. For example, if I focus on the negative or ignore the positive, I create a reality in which the negative is strengthened and the positive is weakened, because energy flows where attention goes. Where we place our focus is what we create in our 3D dimensional world. But when I decide to focus on the positive, I give strength to it, I give energy to it, and I actually create a better reality. Even under the most trying circumstances, there is always some good to be found that all of us can hold on to. And when things are going well, rather than taking what I have for granted, I can celebrate my good fortune, which is creating an attitude of gratitude or a gratitude practice on a daily basis, so that we are training our brain literally to focus on what's good in our life. That doesn't mean you neglect what needs to be taken care of, because if you have weeds growing in your garden, they'll overtake your garden, as Stephen Covey once said. But we often neglect what's right in our life and allow the negative thinking to take over, which obviously has an effect on how everything turns out in our day-to-day existence. So focusing on the positive does not mean being detached from reality or ignoring your problems, as I said, and the challenges that you might have in your everyday life. On the contrary, it's about being realistic by not ignoring the positive, which is as much of a part of reality as the negative is. At every moment, you can choose where you place your focus and where you're going to place your attention. Studies show that positive thinking is good for both our mental and our physical health. And according to the Mayo Clinic, the health benefits of positive thinking include increased lifespan, lower rates of depression, lower levels of distress, greater resistance to the common cold, maybe even the coronavirus, but I'm not going to put that out there for sure, better psychological and physical well-being. And of course, when we focus on the positive, when we shift and at least acknowledge the positive in our life, we're going to create more of that, and there's a snowball effect. I've talked about this before, but our brains are hardwired to focus on the negative. It's called the negativity bias. Think about this for a minute. If your boss tells you a couple things that are wonderful about you at work, but then mentions an area of opportunity, well, we will tend to forget about all the good things our boss said and only focus on the negative. It happens to all of us. We zero in on the negative. Often one less than positive comment can sink our entire mood. Think about it. This negativity bias, it evolved in the human brain to help our ancient ancestors focus on threat and increase their chances of survival. However, focusing on the negative can hinder us in this modern world, which is why it's so important for us to train our brains to start thinking positive. And that's really what it is. It's discipline, the discipline to pay attention and be aware of how you are thinking so that you can course correct. People that are very successful in life are people that learned this early on. They were aware of how they were thinking. They were able to course correct quickly, and they knew where they were going. And if things didn't go the way they liked, they were able to turn on a dime and redirect, but they didn't allow themselves to get depressed, and I don't want to use the word depressed, discouraged, and then give up because things weren't going the way they wanted. They didn't just throw in the towel. And it's that throwing in the towel that causes so many of us to have regrets at the end of our life. Now, sometimes in that course correction, you have to shift things around a little bit so that you can get yourself back on course. And I've had to do that recently, where I wasn't getting the results that I wanted. I was starting to get very frustrated and upset. Everything was frustrating me because there was a lot coming my way. And I was forgetting about the positive. I was forgetting about the positive things that I had actually accomplished. And I was really starting to focus on the negative. But to shake things up a little bit, I had to make some changes, and I had to do them quickly to get myself, there's my kitty, back on track. And to be able to have the discipline to shift my mind from the negative to the positive. Now, you may be asking yourself, what does thinking positively entail? Thinking positively simply means that you're taking a more optimistic approach to your life. It means that you're choosing to focus on the positive over the negative, and you're remaining hopeful rather than despondent or discouraged. You see, life's going to present challenges for all of us. We can't get away from that. It's part of life. But when it does present these challenges, we have to meet them with a more confident and productive attitude. And studies show that when we think positively, that it's good for both our mental and physical health. And as I said, the Mayo Clinic has a list of things that actually benefit us if we do discipline our minds to be positive. And I'm going to state them again just to encourage you to start working on that positivity quotient in your own brain. Increased lifespan, lower rates of depression, lower levels of distress, greater resistance to the common cold, better psychological and physical well-being, better cardiovascular health and reduced risk of death from cardiovascular disease, and better coping skills during hardships and times of stress. So thinking positively simply makes us feel better, and we have more self-confidence when we focus on things we actually like about ourselves rather than narrowing in on all of our self-criticisms. Thinking positively helps us out of a negative thinking pattern, such as rumination, that can lead to more self-hatred and, yes, more depression. So let's take a look at how we can rewire our brain to think more positively. You need to take time to absorb the good in your life. So spend more time soaking up the positive experiences that you have throughout the day. You definitely have them. And remember this, our brains are wired to be negative. Remember that your brain doesn't automatically store positive stimuli in your long-term memory, so you have to give it a boost. There's a gentleman named Dr. Hansen. He's a neuroscientist and a psychologist. And he suggests that when you have a good experience, no matter how mild it may be, try to stay with that feeling for at least 20 to 30 seconds in a row instead of getting distracted by something else. Feel the goodness, feel the happiness, and do this on a regular basis. You're building a habit. This process helps strengthen positive thinking patterns in your brain. And the more you practice savoring the positive moments in your life and taking in all that good, the easier it will become for you to think in a positive way. So if there's a really nice moment that happens between you and someone that you love, take 10 to 30 seconds to just bask in the glow of that feeling. Allow yourself the luxury of that joy. And if you notice a really gorgeous sunset or sunrise on your drive home or to work, take a few extra minutes and really appreciate it and feel grateful for it. If you happen upon a garden that's gorgeous with beautiful flowers, like I have around my work, literally stop and smell those roses. By taking those moments to soak up those pleasant experiences all around you every day, literally minute by minute, you will be rewiring your brain to be more positive. But it takes discipline and it takes focus. And if you just always remember that energy flows where your attention goes. And if you're focusing on the negative, and I'm human. It happens. All these things happen to me all the time. Part of the reason that I do this podcast is to remind myself of the things I know and that I might not be practicing. So when I start to spiral downward, I need to snap myself out of it. And so do you. And we can do that, first of all, by deep breathing exercises, through meditation that I talk about all the time, mindfulness meditation, by giving yourself the luxury of being able to relax and get in touch with what's going on inside of you, and also by focusing on the positive. And that has to be done throughout your day, because the more you do it, you'll start to shift your focus and you'll start to spiral back upward. But if you find yourself spiraling out of control, you have to step back and take a look at what's bothering you. Maybe remove it out of your life just for a little bit, and then you can come back to it again. You never want to quit on yourself, but sometimes you just have to take a time out, take a few deep breaths, start focusing on the positive, and then turn your ship around. Now, I hope I've given you something to think about, working on and developing a positive outlook, not denying that there's not challenges in your life, because we don't want to be a Pollyanna. We don't want to be delusional, but we have to be honest with ourselves and face the fact that there's just as much positive in our life as there is negative. And the sooner we accept that as a truth and we take control of our minds and our attitudes, the quicker we'll start seeing the results in our 3D world. Now, I always like to end my podcast with a mindfulness meditation, because I know for a fact that mindfulness meditation helps us be stronger, more confident, more self-reliant, happier people. So I have, in the past few podcasts, done this hot air balloon reflection, and I think it's a very important mindfulness meditation, because we can take out the hot air balloon and we can put in its place whatever it is that we want to create in our day, in our week, in our life. We have to, again, be disciplined about doing this practice. But I'd like to introduce it to you again if you're hearing it for the first time. And if not, well, welcome to my hot air balloon reflection. Because like I said, you don't have to be reflecting on a hot air balloon. You can be reflecting on an outcome that you want in your life today, tomorrow, next week, or the week after, or even next year. And you can start focusing on it. And as you focus on it and create the reality of this outcome in your own mind, it will materialize in your life, because it's where you're placing your focus. So let's sit up straight and get in a dignified position of sitting up nice and straight, like there's a string being pulled through your head. And Kitty wants to do this with us. Hi, Kitty. Nice and straight. And we're going to imagine we are riding in a hot air balloon. As we begin, close your eyes and we're going to take 3 deep breaths in through our nose, and then we're going to release through our mouth. Deep breath in through the nose and release through the mouth. Deep breath in through the nose and release through the mouth. Deep breath in through the nose and release through your mouth. Continue to breathe as you think about what it would be like to ride in a hot air balloon. Think about what colors your balloon would be. Would they be blue? Would they be pink? Would they be a collage of different colors and designs? Would there be designs on the balloon? Now think about this. As you rise through the sky, think about what it feels like. What does it feel like? Is the air warm or is the air cool? Is it really windy or is it calm? Now notice everything that you can see from your hot air balloon. Can you see houses? Maybe you can see bodies of water. Can you see people? What do all these things look like? Are these objects and these people that you see, are they really small or are they normal sized? Try to notice everything that you can see. Think about where you are headed. Where are you going in this hot air balloon? How does it make you feel when you think about actually getting there? I want you to focus on that feeling of how you're going to feel when you get to your destination. Really feel that feeling. Notice how it feels. When you are finished, take a deep breath in through your nose and then release through your mouth. Let's take that deep breath in and release through your mouth. And now you can slowly open your eyes. You know, like I said, I love this hot air balloon reflection because it really, you can take that hot air balloon out and you can put out in replace it with some kind of outcome that you want for your day. And in replacing it, you can visualize how you want your day to turn out. And it's a great way to start the day. It's a great way to visualize what it is that you want to accomplish and how you want to feel by the time you put your head on your pillow tonight. So as always, I want to thank you for being here with me. I hope that you'll take the time to start a practice to be positive. Not deny the fact that there's disappointing things that happen in our life, or that there's scary things, or there's dark things. All of that's true. But at the same time, not denying that there's the good. I mean, you can't have one without the other. They're both there. And we have a choice what we want to focus on, and it's through that discipline of choosing rightly, choosing the positive. It's very easy and almost sloppy to stay focused on what's negative in our life. So choose right. Choose right by you. Focus on the positive. Redirect where you're placing your energy. Be bold, be brave, and always, always be your authentic self. Until we meet again, bye for now.